Welcome back to the Roundtable, Season 1, Episode 4. It is November, November 16 today?
16th.
Holy smokes. I'm here with my co-host, Ryan Souders, once again. And, of course, we'll have a bunch of guests on today. Coach Kristner from women's basketball, a couple of student athletes from our soccer programs, and, as always, the information guru, Jeff Febus, is with us as well. A big show tonight, so I'm really excited about it, Ryan. This first segment is brought to you by Meyer. Meyer's been a proud sponsor of Calvin Athletics since 2012. Ryan, off the top, how you doing?
I'll tell you what, Jim, I'm great. Everything else seems to be shutting down around us. You know, a lot of you be listening to this on tape delay, kind of like the NBA in the 80s. Yeah. You know, we're getting one hit after another here, but the Roundtable just keeps on ticking. Here we are, Episode 4. Great show tonight, and I'll tell you what, I'm fired up to be here. I'm fired up to head into Thanksgiving break.
Well, that's great. I know Ryan is kind of torn. His Bears are playing as we tape this, but I think we'll get through with this, and he'll catch the second half with the Bears versus the Vikings and a key NFC Central matchup.
Yeah, I just will say this, Jim. It's a pretty big battle tonight. You know, really is going to set the tone for who's going to have the better draft pick. Really, I'm hoping we lose. You know, I was talking with Coach Hilgert about that today, Vikings fan. But yeah, we'll see how this one plays out tonight.
Well, I hope we have a lot of fun on tonight's show. But we're going to start off a little more serious note. And then we'll progress into some of the fun stuff. And we started out this about 8 weeks ago on our very first show talking about what's life like on campus. And certainly we had in many ways a successful fall. And you know, right now the news on campus, of course, was that the state of Michigan shut down all in-person learning. Our goal at Calvin University was to get us to the day before, 2 days before Thanksgiving, and then go online. So we came up 5 days short of our goal. A valiant effort by everybody on campus. But on a more serious note, yeah, the COVID is surging. And you know, we came on 8 weeks ago saying, hey, morale's pretty good. How do you feel like it is right now, Ryan, on campus?
You know, I think it's both and. You know, there's some people that are obviously disappointed. You know, I think to your point, maybe coming a couple days short of our initial goal is disappointing. But I'll say this, to Calvin's credit, we didn't shut us down. You know, the state of Michigan did. And so a huge credit to all of the people, you know, in student life and Calvin administration. I would say, you know, to the best of our abilities collectively, we crossed the finish line. You know, I think from an academic standpoint, that's where you get some positive notes. Obviously, from an athletic standpoint, it's disappointing. You know, I'm walking around the building today. We're still doing some of our exit interviews. And, you know, you look and interact with some of our winter sport athletes, and they're pretty disappointed, right? They feel like this was kind of taken from them. And so I think that's a little tough. My hope is, you know, institutionally, athletically, and even as a state, that this is just a pause. Because, I mean, I really believe athletics, you know, you look around the state, I've seen more rallying around local athletics than maybe ever before, because it's kind of what you had. And I feel like even at Calvin, it was kind of an accountability measure. You know, I think our fall sport athletes and even our winter sport athletes to a large degree up to this point have been great, you know, have been healthy, have been making wise choices, have been COVID free, all those kinds of things. So, you know, a lot of thoughts rolled in there. I know we usually like to have a laugh to open the show, but I don't know. I think we're going to come back strong. Hopefully a little pause here and we come back better than we were even before. Your thoughts? Yeah. I'm not sure what your feeling is as an AD.
Yeah, you know, take away the hat of a host of Roundtable and put it back as AD. It was tough. Friday was a tough day. Writing that email, for those who don't know, we paused athletics for all our teams, in season, out of season, and basically we shut it down for 2 weeks. And then Sunday night, of course, the state of Michigan kind of did the same thing. But I didn't know they were going to do that. And so that weighed really heavily on me on Friday, because I see the athletes, I see what they put into it. But in many ways, you know, we talked to the athletes way back before we started about a very tough opponent. And if you want to bring it back to that sport analogy, COVID's tough. I like to say we're at halftime right now. and we had a good start. It maybe reminds me of Calvin Soccer when I said to you, boy, I don't know if we're going to make it through the second half. And we came back and won in OT on a golden goal. So, yeah, we've been taking our punches this first semester. I'm hoping it's halftime. I'm hoping we're going to get some reinforcements, maybe with some type of vaccine, some better therapeutics. Maybe the surge goes away. Always the optimist, but I hope for all our student athletes and for all the people listening, all those Calvin Knight fans, we're going to try to get something on the field, on the courts, in the arenas, on the ice rink here in second semester. So
I'll tell you this, Jim. It's funny you mentioned like the first half, and I'm drawn to. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago. There's that interview with the high school football player.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. They had us in that first half pretty good there. Yeah, and I feel like that could be us. Second half of the year here. Hopefully, some things turn around nationally. I think our athletes, everyone's looking forward to a second semester of play, which we've never had. Fall athletes are looking to have, a spring season, obviously winter and spring sports as well. So I think a lot to be excited about, certainly.
Right. So we're going to have fun the rest of the show. I see some of our guests rolling their eyes. They're sick of having COVID talk. And certainly if my wife and my family members were down here, they'd say, Dad, that's all you talk about. So we're going to move on from that, sort of. So topic number 2, and that's our last topic off the top, Ryan. This will be our last show before Thanksgiving. You mentioned it off the top. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. It will be different, I think, for a lot of families across the country. But I like to play this little game, Thanksgiving dinner. And here's my deal. You get 2 and I get 2. We'll go alternating picks. 4 people, I get 2, you get 2, that we are going to invite to Thanksgiving dinner year 2020. It has to be a live person, and it has to be relative to sport. So you go first. Who do you want to invite to our Thanksgiving dinner? Just to chat. Now, remember, we're not talking politics or religion at the dinner table. So it's sport related. Who are we talking to?
Oh, I'm bringing the GOAT. I'm bringing MJ to Thanksgiving dinner. I'm asking about The Last Dance. I want even more coverage than what The Last Dance was offering. I want all the dirt on why he's better than LeBron. Plus it fulfills like a dream as, 8-year-old Ryan. I'm bringing the GOAT, man. Like, okay. I had no doubt.
Okay, so you're bringing the GOAT. Are you going to allow him to smoke the cigar in your living room?
Is my wife one of the 4 people that will be at the Thanksgiving dinner table?
Unless we don't want to get traditional roles, but I'm assuming she's cooking.
We'll both be. We're not really. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say go ahead. Right. It's Mike. Just whatever Mike wants.
So here's my pick. And Jeff Febus will like this. Alan Trammell. Boyhood idol. Hall of Famer, Detroit Tigers. I just want to talk to him about the fine art of shortstop. Not about managing. He lost 119 games with the Tigers. It was a tough summer. But I got to have Alan Trammell. And I want to know if he remembers handing a little boy a bat in Lakeland, Florida in 1982 or something like that when I was 12 or 13. I forget. So that's who's your next pick?
Well, Jim, before you go on, assuming you were that young boy, I'll save you one of your picks and say he probably doesn't remember. Okay. So that's kind of a wasted pick if that's all you were going to ask him, just to be honest with you. Man, my second. I'm going to go entertainment value, and there's probably very few people who would get this, although I might get a laugh out of the Phoebe cave. I think I would bring Zlatan to the Thanksgiving dinner table. I just think, that guy, he's a character. He's made famous for speaking of himself in third person, himself as a lion, all these kind of things. I think, it'd be I don't think it'd be as calm as your Thanksgiving dinner table, but man, we'd get some laughs.
When do you cross over into a one-word person like Madonna or Prince or the symbol of Prince or Mike? I don't know. I don't haven't crossed that barrier yet. All right,
are you kidding me? We've got him on this show. It's Phoebus. There's only one Phoebus. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. My kids once asked me, "What's a Phoebus?" Because on my phone, Phoebus always came up. All right, my fourth one, and this is, again, we're getting a little, I'm going to bring Mark Emmert from the NCAA. And the reason I'm doing that is because my man Ryan.
Bringing him in to throw him out of your house?
No, because I figure you're going to be there and you're going to hit him with a, what are we doing here? And I want to hear his answers. And I want to ask him, come on, are we going to have sports second semester? Are we going to have the NCAA tournament in one city? And if in one city, why Indianapolis? I mean, come on. There's a lot of nothing against Indianapolis, all you folks out there. All right.
Hang on, Jim. Before we transition, I got one question for you. I'm curious. I'm sure the home audience would like to know.
Yep.
One item from the Timmer Thanksgiving table. Traditionally, I don't know what your if there's any extended family plans this year with respect to COVID, but the one item, maybe it's your families, your in-laws, your wife, whatever, that you're like, that is the item I show up for on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so this is a late bloomer. Last year, my wife made this macaroni and cheese dish that I would have every day, but she made it for Thanksgiving. You don't think that's traditional Thanksgiving. It's not Kraft macaroni and cheese like our student athletes make in their off-campus apartments. This is like real cheese, macaroni and cheese. It was really a compliment to the rest of the tastes that were there. And I like them all. I like apple pie too. That's my 1A. How about you?
So I got to be honest, the Souders family's kind of moved away from traditional Thanksgiving food. We have ribeye steaks on Thanksgiving Day. Like food we're really thankful for and that we want to eat. So I mean, a good, we've done like a smoked turkey, all that stuff. But yeah, that's
great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to start talking about Calvin athletics. Ryan, fun to catch up with you. The on-campus update, and then our Thanksgiving dinner with our boyhood idols and a few other special guests. Our next segment is our 5 minutes with Febus. It's brought to you by In On Time. Matching your requirements and your needs for our fleet and warehouses gives you the flexibility you're looking for in a logistics provider. Unmatched service and reliability makes In On Time your complete logistics solution. I ask Jeff each week or every bi-weekly to a little topic for 5 minutes. Ryan and I usually react to it. So this week's topic, I'll let Jeff, you go ahead and introduce it. I would say this is about the time of year where we're getting our All-American postseason awards for our fall athletes, whether it's all league or all American, all region. We don't have that this year. So I asked Jeff to kind of do a take on that. Jeff.
Well, I think the way we're going to work it here is I'm going to come up with a fall sport. And I think, Jim, you wanted to try to at least give out a guess. Then I'll give the correct answer, maybe a little bit of a snippet of information behind the individuals. But we're trying to come up with the first All-American or All-Americans in the respective fall sport at Calvin. And I've got one little bonus section on there, too. So we'll throw that in at the end.
And Ryan can help out too. For those of you who have never been to Vernord Arena or haven't been down by the All-American wall, boy, you walk by that every day if you're an athlete. I look at those names each and every day. I'm going to see if I can guess the first All-Americans in those sports. So, Jeff, let's go.
All right. Well, let's just start it out with men's soccer. Who was the first All-American in Calvin men's soccer history? Yeah, I think you know the answer. Yeah.
Jim, you got it?
It's got to be Casey Terhaar.
100%.
It is.
Got to be.
Yeah.
It is. Casey Terhaar, 1962, the first great goalkeeper, one of many in Calvin men's soccer history. He had the distinction of playing under the first three Calvin head men's soccer coaches. We had Raul Biker, Tony Brower. I think they were both Calvin faculty members apart from the athletic department, physical education department. And then, of course, Dr. Marv Zeidema, he wasn't quite Dr. Z then. He got his PhD around 1969 or so, but he came on in 1961 and coached Casey. And, of course, Casey was one of those Dutch immigrants that came over from the Netherlands in the 1950s. Yeah. And, one of these days, I was going to write a story on Casey about 4 or 5 years ago. And he's got an amazing life story. Maybe we can have him on as a guest. But as a young child, he was in a Japanese internment camp in what was then Dutch Indochina. And his father was part of the Dutch government, was in a separate kind kind of a prisoner of war camp. And actually, the first time Casey remembers seeing his father was at the gates of that camp that he was at when they were both released. I mean, obviously, his father had seen him as a baby, but then they were separated when they were about a year old. So, you know, you hear a lot of those. You hear a lot of those life stories, you know, that go back to the Netherlands, and he's definitely one of them. So, yeah.
He also has the distinction of putting his pop-up chair in the exact same location for every single men's and women's home soccer matches. Guys, it's unbelievable. He's there
every game.
Rain, snow, shine, whatever.
All right, next one.
Okay, well, let's just stick with soccer, women's soccer.
All right, I was there when women's soccer became a official varsity sport, but we had success. It's got to be Tara
Dyke.
My guest, assistant coach Tara
Dyke. She's one of two in the same year.
Was her sister the other one?
No, Tara Dyke and Amber Wiersma back in 1997. Okay. And Tara, of course, was the high-scoring forward. I think she had 35 goals and 10 assists back in 1997 when we won the league.
I'm going to ask Maria if she's got 35 goals yet.
And Amber was more of a holding midfielder, sometimes played back on the defensive back line. But, we ended up hosting a regional, made it to the round of 16, and lost to Washington University of St. Louis 3-2 in that round of 16. The tournament was kind of set up a little differently back then, too. There was like a first-round play-in game. We actually got a first-round bye, and then we hosted a pot of 4. So we actually were technically into the third round of the NCAA tournament. But that was a fun year.
And she's done a great job contributing back to the program, Tara.
You bet.
All right, next sport.
All right, women's cross country. This could be a tough one. It's just one individual, and I'll give you a hint. It is our only individual national champion in Calvin men's or women's cross country history.
Haverkamp?
No, this would be Renee Bluecamp, 1991. She was fifth at the national meet in 1991 and helped us finish 8th as a team. She was out of Holland West Ottawa High School. In fact, was a basketball player. And of course, you might remember that basketball for several years here in the state of Michigan was played in the fall. So she made the transition in high school, basketball to the cross country course, and really just came on like gangbusters. And her junior year at the national meet earned her second All-America berth, and not only did that, but won a national title. That was in Grinnell, Iowa, and that was the first of 3 straight second-place national runners-up finish spots for the Calvin women's cross-country team. So Renee Bluecamp.
All right. Men's, it's got it. Dikema.
It is not. No, this is a fun one. I had to look this one up.
Are you even playing, Jim?
I'm terrible.
Yeah,
I think tough night.
I think Ryan will like some of the fun facts on this. So you have to go all the way back to 1960. It was Barry Coops out of Rehoboth Christian in New Mexico. He had a relation, I think it was his grandson, Sawyer Coops, who ran for us about 8, 9, 10 years ago. And
are you going to go out and ready to add the soccer player now? Coops? No, Coops.
So Sawyer Coops, I believe, is his grandson, and he's married to the former Lauren Bergstrom, who we had talked about. Well, maybe we haven't talked about it on this program. It might have been a Throwback Thursday spot that I did, but she was a soccer, cross-country, track. She did everything. So anyway, that's a lot of Calvin connection. But Barry Coops out of Rehoboth, and then Jim DeBye, who was out of Grand Rapids Christian High School, and they were part of the first 3 MIAA championship men's cross country team. So it was 58, 59, and 60. And then they go to the national meet, the first time that a Calvin cross country team did that. And Ryan will get a kick out of this. The small college championships in 1960 were in Wheaton, Illinois at the Chicago Country Club. I did not know that the Chicago Country Club was in Wheaton, Illinois.
Had I been alive, I would have gone. It was about, a mile and a half from where I grew up. So, yeah, definitely interesting fact there.
All right. Yeah. We got to keep going. We got 2 more real quick.
All right. Well, we got volleyball.
It's got to be Amber, and if not, change the records, right?
Yeah. Amber was close, but it had to be one of her teammates, Dykstra, Kelsbeek.
Yeah.
there's another outside hitter.
It was Julie Dykstra in the 85 season. In the next year, Julie Dykstra, Roxanne Helmus, and Leah Kelsbeek did it all together. So there you have it. Men's golf, we actually were talking about this going in. You know the answer to this one.
Yeah, Ben Vinskoik.
And one more quick bonus one I just want to throw in there. The MIAA for a number of years before women's soccer was around, had field hockey, and we do have 2 field hockey All-Americans. I'll give you a hint. You probably know them, Jim, or at least knew them. Sisters, late 1980s, 90 or so.
Oh, I was going to guess Renee Brookhuizen's mom, but that wasn't it. Come on.
Kathleen
Brookhuizen, but she wasn't Brookhuizen then.
No,
who was
we
it,
had Leslie and Kim Tanis.
Oh, Tanis.
Yep.
I know Leslie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Leslie, if you actually listening. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, hey, Jeff, I appreciate that. So we're gonna turn it over to you with our guest. He's been waiting patiently in the green room, and take it away with our coach interview.
All right. Well, our coach interview tonight is with Calvin women's basketball coach Mark Christner, and this interview is brought to you once again by Vredevoog Heating and Cooling. Vredevoog Heating and Cooling has served West Michigan for 54 years. They are a leading heating and cooling contractor and the best choice for your home. They install quality systems and back them up with guarantees to protect your investment. Contact and Cooling today for a free estimate at www.vredevoog.com. Well, as I mentioned, we are joined by Calvin, now second-year head women's basketball coach Mark Christner, who is back in West Michigan. He is no stranger to West Michigan, grew up in Big Rapids, and matriculated his way down US 131 to the Calvin campus in the mid-1990s, where he was a member of the Calvin men's basketball program as a player for 3 years. And then your senior year, you were a student assistant coach. And then you were around you were doing your student teaching in the fall of 1999. And that whole year, 99-2000, that began a string of 3 years with the Calvin women's basketball program as a coach. And then in 2002, the 02-03 year, you began, 8 years with the Calvin men's basketball program as an assistant. You were the junior varsity men's basketball coach for a number of years. Picked up your master's along the way at Western Michigan University. Of course, the undergrad was at Calvin, history major, after my own heart. We love history there, physical education minor. And after 8 years at Calvin, ended up getting your first head coaching gig. Went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, became the head men's basketball coach at Waynesburg. You were there for 9 years. And, it was almost a couple of springs ago now that you came back to the Calvin campus and became our new head women's basketball coach. And in your first year, led the Knights to a 17-10 record. And not only was it great to have you back, Mark, but great to have your wife, Sarah, who's a Calvin softball and women's basketball alumna. And, of course, your son and your 2 daughters. I guess the first question is, what's it like to be back in West Michigan here? You've had a year pretty much to settle back in. Just your thoughts on all of that.
Jeff, it's been great. I think one of the things that we talked about as a family was when you move and you do something a little different. And a lot of coaches have an opportunity to either coach at their alma mater or go away and then maybe come back, or who knows, once you get started in the coaching profession, you can end up going a lot of different ways. I think for us, the opportunity for me in particular to come back and do something, and we've kind of said it's similar yet really different, to jump genders and to go back to the women's game, kind of where I got my start, has been really unique. It's been fun to be closer to family. Our kids love where we live, and the school has been a wonderful thing for our kids. Our son is a freshman in high school, and if I was able to coach during the women's week, they had a week of women's and a week of men's. You end up coaching about 24 regulation high school games in the summer. And to be honest, it was really fun. And you're playing and you're having really good teams. I don't have to, you don't recruit, you just get a team of 8 or 9 people. When you get there, they're all pretty good. And it's your job to work with them and to coach them throughout the week, kind of in a preliminary event to an AAU tournament now, I think. So I think those years especially were really formative for me in terms of wanting to stick with it. And Coach Gall, who was my first coach that I worked with at Calvin, was a terrific supporter and encourager for me. And then Coach Van Street continued to do so when I transitioned to the men's side. So, it was one of those things kind of once you got into it and you heard some affirmation and the competitive aspect of being at Calvin where you competed at a high level is, it was very much magnetic. And then you had the opportunity to go have your own program, which was really, really fun too.
So, yeah, you mentioned that your own program at Waynesburg for 9 years, and you were coaching men. You had been coaching men for a number of years at that point. So what led you to pursue the Calvin job and to take a little bit of a different turn, not a big one, but a little bit of a turn to coach the women's side rather than the men's side? What led you back, and what led you to pursue that spot?
I think, Jeff, it was in many ways something that the Lord put on our heart. I know we hear that term a lot in professional decision-making or vocation choosing. I do think it wasn't something that was initially on our radar. In fact, I'll tell you a story. My wife might get a little mad at me, but we were driving to Garrett County in southern Maryland, just in the western part of Maryland, about an hour and a half from Waynesburg on a recruiting trip. And Coach Vanderstreek had talked to me just a little bit about the women's scenario at Calvin. And it was the end of January, maybe early February. And we're on this trip, and it's beautiful country, southwestern PA and into western Maryland. You're kind of rolling through the hills a little bit. And I mentioned something to Sarah about the Calvin job and what she thought of. And her first response was, well, you don't coach women. So that was kind of that, but I think, and I say that from a standpoint, it was really in many ways out of left field. And I think for us, the pull to come back to Calvin, the pull to be a part of something where you could compete at a very high level. I think as a coach, I always had aspirations of coaching somewhere where you felt like you could win a national championship. And I feel like you can do that on the women's side at Calvin. And I think talking with people, certainly have colleagues in the department. I think I was ready for something new professionally. And as I mentioned earlier, it's so similar in many ways, and yet it's really different. And I think that was super attractive. And to be able to coach at your alma mater, there's not many things better. Although I'll save the Harbaugh talk, but there's not a lot better than to be able to coach at your alma mater. And I think for us to come back and be a little full circle, it's where I got my start. My first, one of my first endearing and searing images, Jeff, is our second round game in 2000 with the women's team at Capitol. And Mindy hit a three, to put us ahead late. And we held Coach Jeffers, who's kind of a legend on the women's side in the D3 world. And, we ended up going to WashU and losing to Baldwin Wallace in double overtime, and a fantastic game. But, for me, that's kind of where I cut my chops a little bit initially. And I think to come back and have an opportunity to coach at a high level. Our league is fantastic in which we coach in. There are wonderful coaches in our league from a X&O standpoint, and it's high level recruiting, it's high level X&O. And I think the opportunity to kind of get this program back to where we feel like it should be. It was a great opportunity, and one that I'm entirely thankful for.
So let's talk just quickly a little bit about your team. You were 17-10 a year ago, took fourth in a very competitive league. You made it to the MIAA tournament semifinals. You returned the bulk of that team for this year. We're not really sure what this year is going to actually entail. You have had a couple of practices, throughout the fall. So you've had a little bit of a look. What can you say about this group without, really like looking at what the schedule might look like? Because right now, none of us really really know what the schedule is going to look like. But what can you say about this group, this team?
We had 23 practices in the fall, I think, Jeff. We return 75% of our scoring and maybe 79% of our minutes, something of that nature. I'm proud of the commitment level of our group. Most of the players on our roster were here, and the ability for us to connect with them. Coach Declines, my assistant, does a fantastic job. I think for us, the commitment level of kind of staying and choosing to continue to be part of it, continuing to get better. It was fun to see some strides from some of our players in the fall. You could tell that they really worked on our game, especially our sophomore group. Really had great strides. So Leah Harris, Sydney Cleary, Sarah Neely, Allie Shearer, all made, and you could see it. It was pretty evident in practice. Great strides. Returning as well. And I would say 2 seniors who are committed program people, and people who are going to work hard. They're going to communicate openly and honestly, and we're really thankful for both of them. So, I think we were pretty excited about what we had coming back and what we had seen a little bit. We got to about practice 18 or 19 and you're ready to play somebody. And we know that we weren't able to do that, but we left practice a few of those days thinking, yeah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. And, like everybody else, we're just in a holding pattern, but I'm optimistic that our group will continue to choose to be a little bit uncommon and continue to work and continue to believe, and we'll see what happens.
All right, very good. Well, we're looking forward to seeing what happens with your program down the road, and we're really grateful that you're back here on the Calvin campus and leading the Calvin women's basketball program. So, Mark, thanks for stopping by and being a part of this Breda Vogue Heating and Cooling coach interview.
We're back with segment number 4, and that is our student athlete interviews, brought to you by Lake Michigan Credit Union. Lake Michigan Credit Union has more ways for your money to earn even more. Choose CDs, house savings accounts, nationally recognized credit cards, and checking account. Money Magazine called it the best checking account in America. Earn more interest, more returns, and more rewards with Lake Michigan Credit Union. We're going to have 2 student athlete interviews, both from our soccer programs who completed their fall portion of their season just this maybe 2 weeks ago. Our first one is senior Drew Bonando. And Drew, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's been kind of a strange fall for you, and I know you didn't know a lot what to expect when you came back there. But tell me a little bit, how'd you feel the fall went for you personally and for Calvin men's soccer?
Yeah, I thought it was, all things considered, about as good as it can be.
Okay.
For me personally, part of why I chose to come to Calvin was because I felt there was an aspect of love for the game instead of necessarily, obviously there's a competitive aspect to it, but you come to Calvin to play the game that you love, and that's what I felt when I visited people, and I felt like this fall was kind of a good, I guess, testament to that. We weren't given the competitive opportunities that we have had in years past, but we made the most of it, and we had as much fun as we could have because we love to play the game of soccer, and not, we weren't. I personally wasn't too, I guess, distraught for not playing against other teams. Obviously, we would have loved to play against other teams, but still having that opportunity to get out, play with the guys, kind of build those relationships and those friendships was incredible. So I think personally, it was. I guess I was just making the most of it. I kind of came to terms with what the pandemic meant for me over the summer in terms of my career. So for the team, I felt like, we were able to get a lot of guys good touches, a lot of guys that, historically probably may not have gotten as many touches in the fall. We got a lot of good scrimmage minutes in our inter-squad scrimmages that happened every weekend. And so I think that really benefited the team as a whole. We were able to just kind of, get guys more touches and,
awesome.
Like I said, make the most of it. So.
Yeah, I was at quite a few of those, the scrimmages on the weekend. One of the things I was kind of shocked at, and I shouldn't have been shocked, I'm getting older, was how hard you guys played against each other. Do you think that was a little harder than maybe you play against each other in practice because you had the lights on and the uniforms, the people were there, or do you guys go at each other that hard?
It probably was enhanced because of a crowd, because of the lights, because you're playing on the game field. But we do go pretty hard in practice. Not a lot of people really see us practice. We're kind of tucked away down in that lower field. But we are pretty competitive. We really do get into it. There are scrums and you kind of, you'll get into it with a few of your teammates, but coach does a good job of kind of making sure that everybody knows that once you leave the field, you're all on the same team. So
he's a great center official too. I found that out.
I would just fit.
Remember, he's still got playing time in the sprint.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you some easier questions. These are a little bit shorter, and then we'll get on because I know you're busy studying here at the end of the semester. You were a basketball player.
I was.
Grand Haven. Tell me, what was your best offensive move? Jump shot? Were you a low post player?
No. Yeah. So I was. Fun fact about me. I actually lead Grand Haven all-time. I'm the all-time record holder in field goal percentage in a single season.
Oh wow!
So my best offensive move was get the rebound and take a 2-foot layup. You need 100. You needed 100 shots minimum, and I took 108, and 80 of them were within the paint. So.
Well, I tell you what, we had Coach Kristner still around. He'll tell you an offensive rebound and a putback is a wonderful offensive move. The Grand Haven Buccaneers out there on the west coast of Michigan. Hey, this is a question that Coach Souders once, he likes to ask, and I'm going to steal this from Coach Souders. Best soccer player you've played against or were on the field with. So it can be a teammate, somebody you played against. It can't be, you can't tell me Messi, but best player that you've had to defend or on your team or.
That's
that
a good question.
Amherst was pretty good.
Yeah. I've played with some pretty good ones here at Calvin. That is a good question.
I know you don't want to put anybody out, but.
Yeah. Well, so Iski Van Dorn came back and played. He came back and played like in the spring or something when we had, I don't know, it was like a Saturday or whatever. I think coach wasn't there and we were playing and he came back and played and he was very good. But
man.
Like, I mean, yeah, I don't want to like,
I know I can see
I don't want to like, I don't know if he sees this. I don't really want to boost his ego, but he's probably the best player I've played against.
Right. You ever thought about getting into coaching?
I have not. No, I haven't. I'm not going to discount that option though. But yeah, no, I haven't. It's just never really crossed my mind.
All right. Before we go to the 24 second shot clock questions, how about this one? What would a freshman Drew Bonando or a senior Drew Bonando tell a freshman Drew Bonando now that you've been through it? And freshman it could be school or whatever. So what would the senior say to the freshman?
Oh man. Freshman Drew was so bad at soccer. Like so bad.
You just say, hang in there, you'll get better?
Yeah, something along those lines, like keep your head up, you're a good player, or something, I don't know, something encouraging that just kind of isn't too demeaning, but also
I'll tell you this, that Calvin University and Calvin Soccer has done a good job for you to have that mature approach and look back and say, wow, because when you're a freshman, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Oh yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was stepping into. So
all right, so now we go to the final segment, and then you're done. It's 24 seconds, 7 questions, and here you go. You ready?
Yep. 1
or 2 word answers. Favorite color? Start out easy.
Blue.
What is? All right. Blue. Favorite musical artist?
The Abbott Brothers.
I never heard of them. Okay. Favorite professional sports team?
Crystal Palace.
Oh, wow. That's I did not know. Phoebus doesn't like that one. How about this one?
Go Eagles.
Do you remember what was your dorm room freshman year?
Yeah, third bore.
What was the number?
323.
323 bore?
Yep.
I was
quad both years.
Oh, awesome. Who's the loudest teammate?
Chris Morris.
Oh boy, yeah, sure enough. He's yelling at you guys all the time. Favorite fast food?
Chick-fil-A.
Last question. You're wearing the Cubs hat for more playing time.
Okay. No.
Or do you actually like the Cubs?
My brother is named after Ryan Sandberg.
Oh, wow. You guys are Cubs fans. Hey, Drew, I want to thank you. You hung in there. It was a long night, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
And good luck in the spring. We'll be watching.
Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, for a special treat tonight, we have our second and final segment, and we don't have to read the Lake Michigan Credit Union read again, but Coach Souders is going to interview a women's soccer player, and I'll let Coach Souders take it away from here.
Thanks, Jim. So tonight we're joined by senior midfielder Maria VanderLei. Maria, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for being with us on the round table. Now, first thing I got to ask you before we get into maybe more, I've watched a fair amount of Calvin women's soccer games live. I watch them on the live stream. Just let the record show. Can I get a last name pronunciation for the audience, please? VanderLei, not VanderLei, not VanderLei, just VanderLei. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure so we can get that moving forward. I've heard different pronunciation, so I just wanted to make sure. So, next question for you. So you're a senior at Calvin. Obviously, this fall was very different. Take us through. Drew talked a little bit, kind of that the fall was a decent experience. How was with soccer specifically different this fall? What you guys were doing day to day versus what you've done in the past?
Yeah, I think that for us, one of the big times that we can really get to know each other as a team was preseason. So not having that was pretty difficult. It helps kind of just move into being able to play together and getting to know each other more specifically. And so with all these COVID restrictions, I think it was hard to not be able to hang out as much. And we spent a lot of time in the locker room, and obviously we weren't allowed to do that. So I think being intentional about hanging out was something that was different. And as goes with playing, this year was different because we had a lot of new incomers. So our team was a lot bigger, which was super fun. We were able to compete against each other, and yeah, it was great. And honestly, we weren't allowed to play against other teams, but we were able to play against each other, and we wouldn't have been able to do that last year. So this fall was pretty fun.
Yeah. Cool. One of the other great things, as a byproduct of that is, athletes not using a year of eligibility with the NCAA's blanket waiver. So I'm not going to ask you, but I just might encourage you to remind you that you do still have a year of eligibility. So go ahead and compete this spring, maybe win the league. And then I'm sure Coach Ottenhoff, myself, other fans that now know how to pronounce your name would love to maybe see you as a fifth year next fall. So just my 2 cents. So next, obviously you've been at Calvin for 4 years. Talk about that holistic experience, right? What was it like? You're a Grand Rapids Christian Eagle. I know sometimes you hear a lot of like, oh, you're just going up the road to Calvin. Is that something that was kind of always assumed, something you were excited about? Kind of talk about your recruiting process and then really your soccer experience over the last now 3.5 years.
Yeah, so my mom works at Calvin and has worked at Calvin for my whole life. And I went to Grand Rapids Christian, so it's kind of assumed that I was going to Calvin. And I think that most faculty kids go through this, but I went through a phase of I'm never going to Calvin. I'm not just going to go in that path. And but then I visited Calvin and I looked more into the kinesiology department and their pre-physical therapy program, and I really realized that it was a really good fit for me. And then on top of that was just icing on the cake. So yeah.
Awesome. And talk about what it's been like playing for Coach Otten. This is year 3 with Coach and just, working under her. I think, you're a captain this year. Talk about kind of moving from being a sophomore in her first year and kind of as the program culture has changed and now into getting to be a student leader for that culture.
Yeah. So when Emily came in, we were all like super excited because you could tell how much she cared about this program and how much she wants this program to grow and be the best place to play soccer. And we all love her. She's so fun to be around. She really pushes us to be better players and people. And yeah, we're super thankful for her and all the hard work that she does for this program.
Cool. So moving along, next question. I've kind of been wondering this. So for those of you who, maybe walk into the Spoolhoff Fieldhouse complex, you'll walk down what is, we call Main Street. There's some tables out there, Nightway Cafe, all that stuff. And you'll notice that this fall, there's some brand new student athlete banners. And what you'll see about the third, fourth banner in, I took a second look for research today, you will see Maria VanderLei. So Maria, I'm curious, did you choose that picture? What was going through your head? Do you like that picture? Are you going to hang that banner, in your room someday or like your kids' rooms to remind them like how good you were? Or take me through that process. It's a pretty big deal.
I personally had no idea that I was going to be put on a banner. I found out as it was being put up. Coach Ottenhoff sent me a picture of it. I did not choose that picture, but I've been known to not have a good straight face, and so my teammates make fun of me. So when that picture was put up, I was a little shocked, but yeah.
Is that one of those things like coaches in film, like people tell you like, hey, this is how you look. And you're like, no, I don't. And now it's like immortalized. Like you have to see it every time you walk in and your teammates can remind you of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Good deal. So next question here. What's been your favorite class you've had at Calvin? Like maybe best or favorite class, in your 3.5 years?
I think the kinesiology class that I'm in now, 328, is probably one of my favorites. We're paired with a client and we actually work through an exercise program with them. So having hands-on experience has been really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool in terms of getting experience. No interim classes stood out there in terms of your like experientially, maybe your best or favorite classes?
The trip that I went on with you, yeah.
It was a good trip. Yeah. Oh yeah, the one that Amber, Dr. Warners and I taught. Yeah, thanks for that little throw in at the end. Last question for you here. So if I'm correct, I believe you also had a sibling that was a student athlete at Calvin. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Would you like to detail that at all?
My older brother, Andrew, he was a swimmer here for 4 years.
Okay. Sounds good. And he, if I'm correct, is recently been married to another Calvin swimming alum. Is that correct?
Yes, Adrian Wasalius.
Excellent. Yeah, good. Hey, coaches, we love that. Next gen. I'll take the kid who, is a Grand Rapids Christian Eagle that's disgruntled with Calvin. They're freshman, sophomore, and first semester, senior year. As long as they end up coming and competing for us, that's definitely what matters. Last thing here, just for good of the group, I don't know if I'm spoiling Dr. Timmer's 24/7, but if you only had to support one professional sports franchise for the rest of your life, give it to us. Who would you choose?
Chicago Cubs.
Oh, what do you know? Coach Kristner's loving that. Drew Van Andel with the hat on the show earlier. Chicago has taken over. Maria, that's all I have for now. Thank you. So I'm going to hand it back to my co-host, Dr. Timmer.
All right. Christian, I hope you have am I back up there? You're all set? All right, I'm going to give a little pause. Okay. Yeah, thanks for Ryan for that interview. And I didn't realize that till Drew wore the Cubs hat. I'm like, holy cow, it is a Cubs night on the Roundtable. And that's why I had to throw in Alan Trammell, who actually was a bench coach for the Cubs and an interim head manager at one point for the Cubs. But
it's very possible we've had a handful of those.
Exactly. All right, Maria, here it is. The thing that makes no sense to anyone, it's 24 seconds, 7 questions. It doesn't go 24 seconds, and it's probably 8 questions, but we're just going to go with 24/7. And it's the same question. Number 1, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
God, would somebody say maroon and gold? Just one of our student athletes. Either one I would take. All right. What is your favorite social media? Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat? You're not on social media.
Probably Instagram.
Instagram. All right. Favorite piece of candy? I'm a Reese's Pieces person. Well, I'm an M&M's person too.
I probably don't have a favorite, but I don't like chocolate, so nothing chocolate.
Nothing chocolate. But anything you can't?
Maybe like Starburst or something.
All right. Favorite TV show?
Grey's Anatomy.
17 years running. All right. Did you ever play another sport higher, like in high school, where you were just a soccer player?
I played volleyball my freshman year.
And then after that, it was soccer only.
Yep.
All right. Who's the best dancer on the Calvin women's soccer team?
Probably Kira Schofield.
Kira Schofield. All right. Last question. Thank you for joining us tonight. Here's your last question. Who is your all-time favorite academic dean at Calvin College?
Probably my mom, Elizabeth VanderLei.
All right. Do you have to call her Dean VanderLei at home, or do you can call her mom?
Nope.
I make my kids call me Dr. Timmer at home. So
doesn't surprise me. Hey, Maria, one more question before we let you go. Just kind of weaving different parts of the show together. What is it going to take for you to put up 35 goals like assistant coach Tara Wagner? What are we going to have to do there?
Probably a miracle because she's a beast.
All right. Simple enough.
All right. Thank you, Maria. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great show tonight. We had a lot, just full of guests, 2 student athletes and Coach Kristner. And, it's our final show before Thanksgiving. And I wish everyone out there a great Thanksgiving with their families. Any way you celebrate it. I want everybody to travel safe home from Calvin University back to their homes. And so many exciting things that are going to be coming. We're going to have one more show this semester, the Christmas show. It's going to be Christmas time. I'm going to have some Christmas decorations. Hopefully Jeff and Ryan will have that in their background as well for our next show. So one more show this semester, but we are going to go with a new kind of, it's not a segment, but just, I want final thoughts, anything that you're thinking about, either related to the show or just where we're at. So start with you, Jeff, and I'll finish up.
Yeah, I guess, the things that come at me right now is, I was just thinking recently how this is No Sleep November normally for administrators and all that type of thing in athletics. And certainly I always look forward to that. It's a really exciting time. You get crossover fall and winter sports and, fall teams and their peak, playing in the postseason, that kind of thing. So I miss it. But by the same token, one of the blessings that I've had is the chance to, be around my family a little bit more, especially with my son's getting a little older now. And, before I know it, they'll be out of the house. So just having a chance to spend a little time with them. One thing I've been able to do both last spring and now this fall is I've got a 13-year-old who has got a hunting license. We've got some property that my in-laws own nearby. So here I am, the city slicker, and I've been out turkey hunting and now deer hunting. And this past weekend was up in a deer blind Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that was the new experience for me. As I'm kind of chaperoning my son there, who has gone through hunter safety and all that type of thing and has the proper licenses and such. But it is an interesting experience, and it is kind of fun to get outside and just to have some time with your family member. I definitely cherish it while I have it.
Thanks, Jeff. Ryan, final thought.
That's pretty cool. Well, I mean, it's kind of a final thought. You will never catch me in a deer blind. I'll just tell you that right now. So good for you, Jeff, but that's just not happening. For me, I think one of the things that I've been really encouraged by, actually, especially over the past couple of weeks, I love Calvin athletics. I genuinely enjoy coming to work. Most days, I have colleagues that are friends of mine that have become family in many regards. I love our student athletes. Getting to engage with our guys this fall, it was different, but I think they were up for it. I think they enjoyed it. It was just, it was enjoyable. And I think we've gone really hard, as a program, and I think as a department, really since March, because we didn't really know when this was going to end, or still don't know when it's going to end. And I think one of the things I'm looking forward to, kind of similar to Jeff, is just pausing a bit here. I know winter sports don't really have that luxury, and we'll get back after it really in February, January, February, pretty hard on the soccer side. But I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break, just spending some time with family, eating some good food, maybe going for a run or two, maybe. I will see. But yeah, just really, I'm very bullish on the future of Calvin athletics, and ready to come out of the break, ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you, both of you, for your final thoughts. My final going to be thoughts, two of them, and they're both come from the show tonight. Ryan, I love, and Jeff, your optimism as we go on. That's not one of my final thoughts, but I have two. I love Drew Vanandel's answer. What would a senior tell a freshman? And when he said, "Man, I was a bad soccer player." And here's a kid who's probably an All-American, and I think that just shows great maturity. And that's what I think makes Calvin athletes special, that when they look back on their experience, they realize I had a great experience, but man, I had a lot to learn. And I think that's a credit to both the soccer program and all the teammates that he's had to hang in there with him. I love that. The second thing, and this goes on my Thanksgiving thing, I wear many hats, even on this show. Co-host, you asked me a question as an athletic director, but I'm also a dad. I'm thankful for Calvin Athletics because I have a daughter. And then listening to Coach Kristner talking about his drive to Maryland and thinking, wow, he might not have come to coach my daughter. And it has nothing to do with playing time. Gabby earns that on her own, but the atmosphere in the women's program for my daughter to be part of, I guess that's what I'm thankful for as we go into a Thanksgiving. And I'm not saying that because Coach Kristner's still on here. I would say that to anybody. That atmosphere is great. And it is different coaching men than women, and I appreciate it. And it's been a nice semester not yelling at officials for me. So that part of it, Dad, I don't miss. So that's my Thanksgiving, and that's my final thoughts. Great show tonight. We are going to be back better than ever in 2 weeks with our Christmas show.
Apparently with decorations. Who knew, Jeff?
With decorations behind us. And so thank you. Thanks to Christian back in the studio. Thank you to our guests and all our sponsors. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks.